This is Talk the Home of Common Sense. So thank you very much, Dee, for your company. Still with me, Philip Ingram, former senior military intelligence officer. We're not getting enough of you at the moment. But an interesting conversation with Robert Jenrick there. I mean, you're not a sort of a party member. You're not involved in that world of politics. What did you make of what Robert Jenrick had to say?
Well, he's pitching his point to the party membership at the moment. So he's focusing on them. He will say what he's going to say and avoid anything as controversial.
You just don't trust any politicians anymore,
well,
do you?
I think it'll be very interesting, and it's a big challenge. You brought it out, whether he can bring those that have gone off to the left and those that have gone off to the right.
I think it's one or the other.
In the centre.
I think it's reform and let's ask Peter Cardwell. He's talk presenter, of course, and a political commentator, and joins us right now to talk about PMQs. But yeah, just on Robert Jenrick, do you think any party candidate, the Tories ain't going to be back in power unless they can get the people who stayed at home on July 4th, but also the people who went over to reform. Yeah. Because there's plenty of the centre ground and the Lib Demi people. They're not going to come back to the same party that reform voters would come back to. Well,
the Conservative Party essentially needs to go on the journey that Robert Jenrick has been on, from sort of a centrist to more on the right. Certainly they'll look at reform voters, they'll look at 4.1 million people there, and that can make a huge impact on the number of MPs that the Conservatives have. So I think it's impossible to be all things to all men and women.
You shouldn't want to be.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. Well, again, most Conservative voters, I think, would say they stayed the same. It was the party that drifted off to become Tony Blair 2.0. Anyway, you're here to talk about Prime Minister's questions. First question, as always, to talk about the highlights. Were there any highlights?
Do you know what? It was pretty punchy today, actually, because Keir Starmer not backing down. Obviously, we had that vote yesterday, which the government won comfortably, went on winter fuel, but nonetheless, quite a number of MPs, Labour MPs, going missing in action. So there's quite a lot to get into here. I was surprised Rishi Sunak didn't use all his questions. He only used about half of them, about 3 of the 6.
He did ask 6 in total.
He asked 6 in total, but no. He just asked about farming in the last 2 or 3, which I'm not going to play you clips of. But the first one, we can look at this, because the really interesting one is how many people will be affected by this and how many deaths could there be.
OK, let's have a watch and a listen.
Previous analysis claimed that this policy could cause 3,850 deaths. So are the numbers in his impact assessment higher or lower than that?
Prime Minister. Mr Speaker, we're taking this decision to stabilise the economy. That means we can commit to the triple lock. By committing to the triple lock, we can make sure that payments of state pension are higher, and therefore there's more money in the pocket of pensioners, notwithstanding the tough action that we need to take. But he goes around pretending that everything's fine. That's the argument he tried in the election. And that's why he's sitting there and we are sitting here.
Oh, well, at least Keir Starmer didn't call him Prime Minister like he did 5 times last week.
5 times last week,
maybe other people notice this too. I don't think he answered the question.
No, he didn't answer the question, and this is the point, because when that impact assessment comes out, and it will come out at some stage, there will be a calculation the government has done. It'll be given information to say this number of pensioners will die. Previously, when Keir Starmer...
elderly people will die.
They'll get hypothermia. They'll switch off they'll not be either not be able to afford it. They'll switch off.
The colder the winter is, the more elderly people die. That's is a simple fact of life.
That's right. And again, later on in Prime Minister's questions, Keir Starmer's feet were held to the fire in this one as well.
OK, let's have a watch and a listen to this clip.
Yesterday, Labour MPs voted to remove the winter fuel payment from over 10 million British pensioners, including those with just £13,000 of income. With that decision debated and made, it is now important that the House understands the full consequences of the government's choice. So can I very specifically ask the Prime Minister, will he now publish the impact assessment before the House rises?
Of course, when it comes to mitigations and impacts, we put those in place. Ramping up pension credit, dealing with housing benefit and linking it, something the party opposite didn't do for years. And because of the tough decisions that we're making to stabilise the economy, we can make sure that the triple lock shows that increases in pensions will outstrip any loss of payments. But before he complains about us clearing up his mess, perhaps he'd like to apologise for the £22 billion black hole.
thank God that's over. Genuinely, I was losing the will to live there.
I think Rishi Sunak might have checked out a little bit as well.
I think a bit of a post-California flight home jet lag.
Yes, and also we've got the 3-week recess now coming up as well because we've got party conferences.
Yeah. Which, if you're not at a party, are you going to them? I'm not. Yay! Genuinely, the best thing that ever happened to me was being banned from Labour conference for a year, so I couldn't go. Brilliant.
You're banned from Labour conference?
Oh.
I didn't know that.
I was before your time.
Okay.
He's very young. I was banned from Labour conference for making a joke about a safe space.
Okay.
I got a quite little. When they did allow me back in, I got one of those little narky little letters. You can't do this again. And I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. I genuinely being banned from Labour conference, one of the highlights of my life. Please, ban me every year. It's fine. All conferences ban me every year. I don't know whether we got to the bottom of anything there.
No, we didn't. We didn't get any actual answers, any actual facts.
I mean, most Prime Ministers don't answer facts either.
No, but the point is, this will come out at some stage. It will be bad for the Labour government. And what a lot of people are asking is, why have they done this now? Why not wait until the budget? Okay, well, if it happened in the budget, it would be part of a number of things that were negative.
The painful budget we're
The painful budget on the 30th of October.
The question we've been asking today is, when you look at the 1,700 prisoners released early, the winter fuel payments being taken away from 10 million pensioners, and is this what you expected from a Labour government? You know,
no. And that's not what they said they'd do.
And we've already got quite a few Labour supporters. We've got 52 Labour MPs who abstained, one who voted against. Do we know anything about whether those people are going to be punished or not?
Well, there's only John Trickett who voted against. There are a few of the others who were suspended anyway. The 7 who were suspended previously. I wouldn't be surprised if they would just want to make it go away and stop talking about it. But
at the end of the day, the next election, or whether it's local elections or not, people are going to be able to argue in opposition parties. This MP voted for or didn't vote against taking winter fuel away from your grandmother.
You can see that now, and we'll see the impact over the winter. It's also the fact that when they say, oh, the pension is going up by £460 or whatever it is, well, that's actually over 2 years and doesn't start until April, which I don't know if you've noticed, but is after the winter.
But also is in line with the inflation, so that's already accounted for. People aren't getting better off.
Yes.
They're just, I think they just think we're all stupid and don't notice these things, but we will notice when
pensioners going to notice their incomes not being able to buy more. Yeah, not being able to put the heating on.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Peter Cardwell, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for joining us and watching PMQs so we don't have to.